Okay, cool. So good morning, guys. How is everyone? Cool. So today, I want to focus our interview prep specifically on data structures. So I know it probably feels like forever ago since we were learning data structures because we've learned so much since then. But so I think this will be a good review for you guys, and also just sort of showing you how and why data structures are important in solving interview questions. So I will share my screen. Okay. Cool. Just get all my tabs in order. Okay, can everyone see my screen? All good. All right, cool. So LeetCode has this study plan that I really like. It's called the 2-week plan to tackle data structures. You can find it under their problems right here. It's green. And I would highly recommend everyone looking through this and working through it when you're preparing for interviews, because it is awesome. And it's a really good way to practice data structures. And also a lot of the questions in the study plan are used by the big companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc. So it's really great practice. And as you guys all probably remember, there are a lot of data structures, so we're not going to be working through all of them today, because that would probably be overwhelming and take longer than an hour. So we're just going to work on dictionaries for today, because they come up a lot in a lot of these first problems in the data structures study plan. And yeah, and if you guys think this is like beneficial, we can always do more data structures later on sometime. So cool. All right, so let's get into it. So who remembers what dictionaries are and why they're important in the context of data structures? Does anyone remember? Just shout it out.
The list of key value pairs.
Yes, exactly. Was that Zach?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job. Yep, exactly. So, yep, they're a list of key value pairs. So probably the best thing that we can remember about dictionaries is that they have a super fast runtime. So inserting items into dictionaries and accessing items in dictionaries has a runtime of O of 1 notation, which, as you guys probably remember, is the best runtime you can have. So when you're working on an interview question and you're thinking, how can I make my runtime better? Maybe you can use a dictionary. So it's always good to keep that in the back of your mind. But yes, they have their key value pair. All keys are unique. So that's really important to remember. And then values, you can give it whatever value you want. And you're able to use the keys to quickly access the values. So now, who remembers O of N notation? I know it's been a while, but does anyone remember what that means? You can just shout it out again.
O of N is like a for loop, isn't it? It runs as long as the number of computations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry, I should have phrased that better. Yes, but big O specifically. Sorry, I should have asked big O. Who remembers what that is?
Yeah, it's basically just like time complexity and space. Well, I don't know if space complexity is really, I don't know if that's considered in big O stuff, but
yeah, I think big O, Adam can correct me, but I think big O is just time complexity. Yeah, I think it's just time complexity. But yes, Icarus, that's exactly right. So for loops are O of N, and Zach, I think that was you that shouted that out. Yes, time complexity. So exactly. So in a lot of interview questions, they have what is called a naive approach and an optimized approach. So the naive approach is also called like a brute force method. And that's when you don't really think about O of N notation. You're not really worried about time complexity or memory complexity. You just want to get the problem solved no matter what. So you could use something like a for loop, which if you guys remember has O of N squared, which is very slow. You don't want to do that. Or, just you might use a lot of memory, create a lot of variables that aren't necessary. So that's what's known as a brute force approach. And all questions will always have a brute force approach. And that's where data structures come in to give you an optimized solution. So a lot of times when you're working through an interview problem, you're probably going to be nervous, and O of N is probably, or sorry, big O is probably not going to be on the front of your mind, but it is important to keep it at least on the back of your mind, where if you come and run into a problem and you maybe think of a way to solve it using a for loop, you could say, well, a for loop or a nested for loop runs really slow. So there has to be a better way to do this. And there almost definitely will be. And that's where data structures come in. So basically, if you run into a problem, you're not sure how to solve it, and you come up with a solution and it's kind of slow and it uses a nested for loop or it uses a lot of variables, you might want to think to yourself, there has to be a better way to solve this, because there almost definitely is. And that's what's called the optimized solution. So I'm just going to demo for you guys really fast what happens when you don't keep big O notation in mind in solving these problems. And yeah, so I'll demonstrate the naive approach first and then show you why dictionaries are so useful in solving a data structures problem. So we're going to go through like one of the easy problems first. It's called contains duplicate. And basically all it wants us to do is it's giving us an array of nums, and it wants us to return true if nums contains a duplicate and false if every element is unique. So can anyone think of a brute force way to approach this? Like just not keeping big O in mind at all? Like how would you solve this problem just out of the gate?
I mean, if you were trying to make it like as complex as possible, well, have the shittiest runtime, then you would just make a nested for loop that basically loops over your list twice and checks to make sure that there's not a duplicate.
Exactly, Zach. Thank you. Yep. So yeah. So if you're approaching this problem and you never learned big O notation, you might think, like an easy way to solve this would just be to make a nested for loop. So I'm going to show you guys why that is bad. And we don't really have to go over this too much because I just want to show you why it's bad. So basically, yeah, so we'd make a nested for loop, and for J range. And for this, I'm not going to deal with the edge cases or anything like that because I just want to show you why nested for loops are bad. So we're not going to really get into the solution because it's not a good solution. Okay, but basically we are making a nested for loop, and then we want to run through each num, and if you find a duplicate, you'll return true, and if you make it through the whole nested for loop, you'll return false. So yeah, all right, so let's see what happens when we run this. So oh, look at that, all of our cases are accepted, so clearly it's a solution that works. But then when we go to hit submit, first of all, it's going to take forever. And then, yeah, see, it takes forever. Because obviously when we were running our test cases, these arrays are pretty small. So O of N squared is not going to give us a hugely long time complexity. But when we run into an array like this, that's super long, you know, looping through our array twice is just going to take forever. And as you can see, it won't even let you submit that solution. It'll say time limit exceeded. And obviously I didn't pass all the test cases because I wasn't dealing with, you know, the outlier edge cases. But yeah. So if you run into a problem like this and your first instinct is to use a nested for loop, there's always a better solution. And that solution is sometimes dictionaries. So I'm going to show you guys how to use dictionaries in these problems. So I'll do 2 problems for you, and then I'll have a volunteer do the last one. So in using a dictionary, who can think why a dictionary would be useful for this problem? Like what's a special feature of a dictionary that in a problem like this, where we're looking for duplicates, might make it a good data structure to use?
I think with the keys and the values, you could have one key be the number and the next value be the count.
Yeah, exactly. That is totally true. Yeah. And yeah, exactly that. And another thing that's kind of cool about dictionaries is that all of your keys are unique. So if you were to make a dictionary, there's no way your dictionary could contain duplicate keys. So yes, that was a good answer. Yeah. So there are two ways we could solve this problem using a dictionary. The first one would be we just put all of our nums into a dictionary. And then we would compare the length of that dictionary to the length of our original array. So let's say we put this first nums into a dictionary. We would put 1 into our dictionary as a key, 2 into our dictionary as a key, 3 into our dictionary as a key, and then we come to 1 again, we would put it as a key, but it would just override the first one with whatever value, because you can't have 2 1s. So if you were to put 1, 2, 3, 1 into a dictionary, it would just be 1, 2, 3 with whatever value you give it. Yeah, you could give it the count, you could give it whatever. So then you could just compare the length of your dictionary to the length of your array. And if your dictionary is smaller than your array, you know that there are duplicates. So I'll show you how to do that, and then I'll show you another solution. So always when you work with a dictionary, you want to just create an empty dictionary to start. I'll just call it dict. And then we'll do a for loop for I in range length of our array. We want to give our dictionary a key of nums of I. So a way to give your dictionary a key in a nested for loop is to just say your dictionary name and then place whatever key you want into these square brackets. So we're giving it a key of nums of I, and then we could give it a value of whatever. The value doesn't really matter in this case because we're just paying attention to the key. So I'm just going to give it a value of true, as in, yeah, it exists. Okay. So once we traverse through that dictionary, I'm just going to print out the dictionary so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay, obviously we didn't get the right answer because we didn't solve the problem yet. But as you can see, I looped through my nums array, but it only gave me 3 keys, 1, 2, and 3, because when we loop through 1, it isn't unique, so it's not going to give us 2 1s. So that's what our dictionary looks like. No duplicates. So then it's really easy. You just go if length of dictionary is less than length of nums, then we will return true. So if our length of our dictionary is less than our length of our array, we'll return true, because then obviously a duplicate was removed. And then else we'll just return false. So does that solution make sense to everyone? How a dictionary could be useful there? Cool. So what happens when we click submit? It should give us a faster runtime, and it does. Cool. So it was run in 923 milliseconds. Really good memory complexity too. And that's a fun thing about LeetCode is you can see how good your runtime is. But a lot of the times, like if you have a low runtime, don't beat yourself up about it, because it might just mean that your solution, or not a low runtime, but a low number of people that you beat. You don't have to beat yourself up about it because maybe you just used a popular solution. So you can't beat people that use the same solution. So it's not always a bad thing if you don't beat that many people, but as long as you can get the problem to run and you don't get that runtime exceeded, generally I would say that's a good thing. Okay, so I'll just show you guys one more way that you could solve this problem with a dictionary, and then we can move on to the next problem. So another way to use a dictionary in this case would be to loop through each number in your array. And you would want to see, is this number in our dictionary, yes or no? So we would start with our first number, and we would say, is this number in our dictionary? If it is in our dictionary, we would return true, because that means we do have a duplicate. If it's not in our dictionary, we would return false. So just looping through this first one, for example, we would come across 1, and we would say, is 1 in our dictionary, yes or no? No, it's not, because it's our first value. So we'll add 1 as a key to our dictionary. Then we'll come across 2. Is 2 in our dictionary, yes or no? No, it's not. We only have 1 in our dictionary so far, so we'll add it as a key to our dictionary. 3, no, it's not in our dictionary. Add it as a key. So now our dictionary is 1, 2, 3. And then when we come across 1, we'll do the if statement again. Is 1 in our dictionary? Yes, it is. So we'll return true. And then if you make it through that entire for loop without returning true, you would return false. So just show that and the time complexity there. So you would loop through each number in nums. If number is not in your dictionary, oh right, and you have to make your dictionary, of course. Okay, if num is not in your dictionary, of key of num is equal to true. Whatever the value doesn't matter. In this case, I'm just setting it equal to true to show that it exists. So else return true. And then if you make it through the whole for loop without returning, there are no duplicates, you return false. All right, so basically we're running through each number of nums. We're seeing if num is not in dictionary, then if num, then we're just putting it in our dictionary. So dictionary of num, maybe I'll not make it true because that's kind of confusing. So I'll just make the value 1, whatever, value doesn't matter. So in this case, so we're creating a dictionary item with the key of num. And if we do find it in our dictionary, we'll return true. If we don't find it at all, we'll return false. So does that make sense to everyone? Cool. Okay, yeah. So again, we have good memory, we have good runtime. This is a pretty popular solution, so we're not going to beat too many people, but we have good runtime, we solve the problem. So yeah, so that's just one example of how dictionaries can be used. Obviously, you know, they have fast runtime. It's O of 1 to access the values. Obviously, we used a for loop, so our solution is not O of 1, but yeah, so they're really fast and they're really useful. So I will show you guys one more problem, and then I'll have someone work through the problem with the dictionary. Okay, so this problem is called two-sum, and something fun you can do with LeetCode. If you're curious about what companies the problems occur in, or what companies use these problems, you could just look up two-sum LeetCode, what companies use two-sum. And you would see Facebook. I think Google uses it too. Two-sum, what companies? All right, yeah, Google. It's like a popular Google question, I think. So it's kind of fun to look up what companies use these LeetCode problems so you can prepare if you have like an interview with like one of these big companies. So yeah, I think contains duplicate. The one we just did is like a Microsoft question. I think that comes up a lot in Microsoft interviews. So that's kind of cool. Okay. So two-sum. So given an array of integers nums and an integer target, return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to target. And then you may assume that each input would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice, and you can return the answer in any order. So basically what this question is asking us to do is it's giving us a target number. So in this first example's case, 9. And then it wants us to return an array of indices for numbers that add up to 9. So in this first example's case, our nums is 2, 7, 11, 15. 2 and 7 add up to 9. So we'd return their indices of 0 and 1. So does anyone have an idea of how we would use a dictionary to solve this problem? We can just shout it out.
Kind of just thinking on top of my head, when you're putting them in the dictionary, you can just kind of go down the line, and the first time you run into the ones that add 9, those are going to be your 2 ones you want.
Yeah, awesome, Jaden. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep. Yeah. So more specifically, what you could do, and yeah, that's exactly right. You would just add them all to a dictionary. You would give the key, you would give it a key of each number in your nums, and then you give it a value of whatever index they appear at. And yeah, once you bump into something that adds up to your target, you just return an array of their index. So one way we could do this is we could find the difference of our target and our numbers. So for example, we could take 9 and we could see what's 9 minus 2, 7. We would look in our array. Does 7 exist in our array? No, not yet, because 2 is our first number we're bumping into. So we would add 2 to our dictionary and give it a value of 0 because it's in the 0th spot. So then we look at 7. So 9 minus 7, what's 9 minus 7? 2. We would look in our dictionary. Does 2 exist in our dictionary? Yes, it does. So we would return an array of the value of 2 and the spot where 7 is, so 0 and 1. So another example, our second one, 6 minus 3. gives us 3. We would look in our dictionary. Is there a 3? No. So we'd put 3 in our dictionary with a key of 3 and a value of 0. Then we will look at 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. Is 4 in our dictionary? No. 3 is only in our dictionary. So we would add 2 to our dictionary with a index of 1. And then lastly, we would get to 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. We would look in our dictionary. Does 2 exist? Yes. So we would return the index of 2 and 4. So does that make sense to everyone? Cool. Okay, so I'll show you guys how to code that out, and then we can get into the question that someone does themselves. Okay, cool. So start out with our dictionary, empty dictionary, and then we're also going to give them an array that we want to return. I'll just call it array. So this is the array where we're passing in our indexes that we're returning. So then we'll do a for loop. So for I in range length of nums. So we're going to create a value called to find, which is just going to be our difference. So to find is equal to target minus nums of I. So in our first case, to find is going to be equal to 7. Okay, so then we want to see if to find is in our dictionary.keys. So that way we're only accessing our keys. We're not accessing our values. So obviously it could have a value of 7 if you get, far enough. So if our to find values in our dictionary.keys, we are going to return that array. So we'll append our dictionary of to find. So when we do this, when we append dictionary to find, we're not appending the key, we're appending the value. So even though we're placing the key in our append, it's going to append the value. So that's a little confusing. But when we put dictionary of our key, generally it will return the value of that key. So it's like when you search in a dictionary, you search like the word, but then like what's returned to you is the like definition. So yeah. So I always thought that was a little confusing. Okay, so array.append I. So we're appending the value of our dictionary item that we found, and then we're appending our I, so our 2 indexes. And then obviously if it doesn't exist in our array yet, or in our dictionary yet, we will add it. So we'll give our dictionary a key of nums of I and a value of I. Okay, so that should work. Let's run it. Oh, this always happens. I don't know what I do wrong. It's just saying that my indent isn't matched. Okay. Run. I feel like it's going to say that again because it always does. Wrong answer. What did I do? Okay. Oh, I didn't return my array. So yeah, return array. Okay. And that should work. Cool, it does work. So submit it. And cool. So yeah, got some really good memory, beats 95.2% and good runtime. So awesome. So there you have it. Dictionaries. They're really useful in these data structures problems. They give you fast runtime, good memory, and they're generally just good to know about and how to use them. Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next problem, ransom note. And I'll have a volunteer for this one. But basically what this one is asking is, it gives us 2 strings, ransom note and magazine, and we want to return true if ransom note can be constructed by using letters from magazine, and false otherwise. So for example, our first ransom note would be A, our magazine would be B. You can't construct A from B, so you'd return false. Our ransom note is AA. In the second example, our magazine is AB. There are 2 A's here and only 1 A here, so you can't make 2 A's from 1 A, so you return false. And then our last example, ransom note is AA, magazine is AAB. It would be true because you can make AA from AAB. Okay, cool. And just for fun, let's see ransom note interview question. Let's see what question or what companies use this. So, okay, cool. So Amazon uses this question and Microsoft. So that's fun. All right. So who wants to take a stab at this problem?
I guess I'll try it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jaden. Cool. All right. So, yeah, and there's lots of ways to solve this problem. You don't have to use a dictionary, but if you want to, you can. But you can solve it however you want. But yeah. So if you can't think of a solution with a dictionary, then that's fine, because there are a lot of ways to solve it without a dictionary, but also, there's also a way to solve it with a dictionary. So whatever works best for you. And do you want to do it on your screen, or do you want to just tell me what to write and I could write it on my screen? I don't know. What do you guys normally do?
That's up to you. If you want me to try to pull it up, I'm not set up or anything, so it might
Yeah.
take a second.
Yeah, that's all
So-
good. What do you guys normally do when you do the interview questions? Do you guys tell like Adam or Zainab what to write, or do you guys pull it up on your?
We usually will type them up.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I have my Visual Studio Code up. I can just make another folder real quick and do it
Yeah,
on
totally.
that.
Or you don't even have to do that. If you want, you could just look up on Google, just look up a leak code ransom note, and it'll give you this like IDE here. So that might be easier. So you don't have to do the whole Visual Studio thing.
Okay.
Cool.
Do I have to sign in and stuff?
No, I don't think so. And then that could be good practice using the leak code interface as well. Because a lot of interviewers, they usually, at least in my experience, they test you on an interface similar to leak code. So it's kind of good practice to use it, I think.
Okay. Got it. Do I have to do it on Python?
No,
do
if you want to use JavaScript or anything, you can totally.
Okay. I'm all of it's gonna be crazy for me, so I'll go ahead. I have it pulled up, so
Okay, awesome. All right, I will stop share. All right, thank you, Jaden. Brave volunteer.
this isn't so well, but that's okay. What's it at?
Yeah, go Jaden. You got this.
I don't think that's it. Where's it at?
Is LeetCode letting you pull it up without making an account?
Yes.
Cool, good. All right,
Cool.
awesome.
Good. I'll
Okay,
take
cool. So
1,000.
going with JavaScript.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the move because but it's what I'm usually more familiar with. You might have to mention how to. I think I remember how to append to a dictionary because I want to do a dictionary.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah, let's see. But yeah, go ahead.
So what I was thinking, my first intuition on this was to make 2 dictionaries, but I think that might not be the case because I was wanting to do is just get the count of each, and if the count of the magazine fulfills the ransom note count, then it will pass, because if we don't get the count and we just check to see if there's A or B in it, well, there could only be one A, and since it's a ransom note, you can only use one letter one time. So I was gonna use a dictionary to get the count of each of like A, and if it runs it again, I'm gonna append it again. So A will be, instead of 1, it'll be A being the key, and then it's gonna be 2 instead of 1. So if that fulfills my ransom note, then it's true. So that's the way I was thinking about doing it. Now writing that on code is going to be a little different since it's been a while.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And honestly, like knowing what you're going to do, even if you're not exactly sure how to code it, is the most important part. So really good, really quick thinking. That's super great. That's a great way to solve it.
Now let's go ahead and do, I'm going to set my dictionary, an empty one.
Mhm.
And then or let's I equals 0. I don't know if I'm hitting this complete. I'm just going to make a for loop and try to play around with it for a second to see
Yeah,
if it
totally.
work out. And I'm going to set my for loop to the size of my magazine. And the reason I'm going to set it to my magazine is my magazine might be bigger than my ransom note. So if the loop stops early, then I'm not going to get what I need.
Mhm.
Like a tight today. Holy cow. I am a little shaky. I'm on my second cup of coffee. All right.
I feel you.
Think that what I forget here. And then I plus plus.
Awesome.
That's not what I want. That's what I want. Okay. I think that's the proper. Like I said, I have not used JavaScript in this way in a while. So what I was gonna do off the top of my head, if I could, I don't remember how to append to the dictionary right away, but pretty much you got to see if if it's in the dictionary. So if I think it's just if I think that is
Yeah.
the proper way.
Yeah, I
So if
believe
it's
so.
in the dictionary, then we're gonna want to +1. So it would be I think it's dictionary I plus
Mhm.
equals 1.
Right. Yeah, and I'm
And
not exactly sure the JavaScript syntax, but yeah, that's the right logic. Yep. So dictionary with key of I gives a value of add 1. Yep.
and then if else it's going to be dictionary I equals 1.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's kind of my logic of making the dictionary here.
Mhm.
So
That's perfect.
though I is not pulling any of the stuff though.
Right. Yeah, like Kayla said, really quick thinking. The only thing is make sure to declare your dictionary variable with like a let.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so that's how you create your dictionary. Perfect. Yeah, I don't know about JavaScript syntax, honestly, but I think that's good. That's, if anything, the logic is right. So yeah, cool. All right, cool. So where are you gonna go now?
Well, I did mess up here. It's gonna be so I'm calling I, but I is just equal to 1, and we're just going to, so it's just gonna be 1, 2, 3. So I have to make sure I'm gonna pull from the array of magazine or ransom note, whichever I want. So I got to make sure that in here I want to do we can start with ransom note. Like that. So I'm pretty much saying if ransom note I, so 0, 1, 2, whatever it is in the dictionary, then so same thing. And then this would be what I would be appending.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Yep. All right, awesome.
What did I do here? Oh. Okay, so I believe that right there, I'm so used to hitting Control or Command S.
I know.
Okay, I believe that's gonna give me, I'm just gonna go ahead and console.log my dictionary to see if this is giving me what I want.
Awesome.
Because
Yeah, you set that up super great. Awesome job, Jaden.
dang it, I keep hitting.
I do the same thing.
And I gotta return as well. Where is this at? Return. What do I gotta do to run this?
Just click run for now. See
Oh,
what happens.
log in. sign up to run. Oh no.
Oh, what? Okay, sorry. I didn't know what would make you do that. That sucks.
Oh, I should have copied and saved that. No.
If anything, do you want to copy and paste the code into the chat? And that might be too complicated. Oh well, it's good to have a leak code account. So
I think
awesome.
I already have one. I think.
Hopefully.
No, I don't. Okay.
Oh darn
I
it.
don't. Oh, hopefully it's saved. Okay, thank goodness.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, I don't remember if I had one or not. So
It's okay. You can just copy and paste it into the chat, and I can run it on my screen if that is easier, or if you want to make an account, whatever you think is best.
Register real quick. So I gotta show my passcode. I know I'm sharing real quick.
I don't think so. Yeah, you could stop sharing if you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I guess that makes sense. I would make you make an account.
It's like you want to finish, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hard for them to like get you that far though.
I know, right? That's how they get you. They get you that far, and then they're like, "Oh, you have to make an account." Oh, Kayla, you said in is Python syntax. Yeah, it might be. To be honest, I am terrible at JavaScript, so I'll look that up. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Okay. Object.hasOwn, object1.prop. Right, yeah, and that's also a good point, Thomas. Thank you for putting that in the chat. So basically what dictionaries are there a hash map. So Python calls them dictionaries, JavaScript calls them objects, Java calls them hash maps. But yeah, they'll do the same thing, just different names essentially. So yeah, JavaScript would be known as an object. Yeah. Okay. So
How do I search on leak code now for this?
could you share your screen again? Cool. Maybe explore. Oh, yeah.
What was it called again?
Ransom note.
I don't know if it's gonna pop it up, but
I hope it doesn't erase what you had. You can also just go to explore, and I think it'll have a search bar.
to explore.
There you go. Sorry to make you have to make a whole account, Jaden, but oh well, no harm in having a leak code account.
Oh no.
To verify email. Oh no.
I thought I had one, to be honest with you. But I guess not.
Damn, I'm sorry. It's really making you.
That's okay. That takes me 2 seconds.
Okay, cool. All right.
Okay. Alrighty. So I believe I think it's either ransom note of dictionary or in dictionary. I know that JavaScript does have the syntax of some sort like this. I know we were
Yeah.
kind of about that. I just don't remember.
I don't remember. I think so what does it give
So I
us?
did get it.
Hang on. Oh, cool.
Oh wait, no wait, is that what is this?
Yeah, so that's what
The console.
console log printed out.
Okay. So it did give me A. So now I know A is 1. There is 1A.
Mhm.
So all I got to do now is I can either make a second dictionary. I'm trying to think of a better way than to do that other than make a second dictionary. And
I would say go with the second dictionary, unless if that's your.
that's what I had before. The only problem is I'd make a second dictionary and then I would have to run a loop through the dictionary comparing both dictionaries. So the time would be, or I can run through the dictionary and just, so I can make a loop through magazine and compare that magazine to dictionary. And instead of adding it, I can subtract it. And then if I have each one of those, then or if that dictionary, each key is 1 and my ransom note has that many, then it's true, because that's kind of putting both or in one loop.
I like that. Yeah, try it out.
I don't know if that
and I will say, like, if you're worried about doing a for loop, for loops are only O of n. I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're only O of n. And if you add another for loop, as long as it's not a nested for loop, your runtime is still going to be O of n. So if you already have a for loop, there's no big deal in adding another one. Someone could correct me if that's wrong, but I think that's right. So yeah, no fear in using a for loop. It usually has to be done, and it's no big deal. O of n is still a good runtime. Yep. Thank you, Chris. Cool. Yeah. So they're only really scary if you get into a nested for loop, but for loops are nothing to be afraid of. You're usually gonna have to use a for loop no matter what. So just, yeah, don't let that stop you. Cool. Thank you, Zach.
And I think I am probably looping through too much. Like I could, since I'm only doing ransom note here, I could do ransom note right here as well. Just to not overdo it if we're worrying about that right now. So that I could just stop right at that. And since I'll be doing another one magazine, that might cause an issue, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And then I changed this to J just to kind of keep my for loops in my head a little separated. So I'm going to go through this loop, but this time I'm going to go through magazine. And so if I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this to save us some time. Except this is going to be now magazine.
And I think I could be wrong, but it would be if J is less than or equal to magazine.length. I haven't used JavaScript in a while, but is that? Yeah.
I can't remember which side it goes on.
Yeah, that's good.
That's to hit that last variable, yeah. Because if
exactly.
Magazine. So, and this time, so I'm gonna yeah, because I don't want to append this time since I'm going to be doing a little weird. I've literally just thought of it this way. I don't know if this is going to work at all. So I'm going to subtract. I don't know if this way is going to work. Because if there's 2 A's, either way, I'm going to have to loop again. Okay. I was just trying to cut off one of the loops, but
yeah. And seriously, don't worry about having too many for loops. I don't think, because every for loop is O of n. So if you add another for loop, your time complexity is still going to be O of n. So yeah, don't freak yourself out too much over the for loops. It's really, they're necessary. So
I'm gonna go ahead and make 2 separate ransom or dictionaries here, and do like this. And then since I have it this way, how many times I'm going to do that still? I'm going to, now all I got to do is compare the two. So comparing them, they don't have to be identical. Magazine could have more.
Mhm.
So I'm going to loop through and just make sure my ransom dictionary has everything it needs from the magazine dictionary. So I would just run another loop. This time it's going to be Z.
Hey Jaden, on magazine I, you gotta change that to J.
Mm,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Good catch.
Yes, that would have been like, why is it not working?
I know.
I've always had that issue because they look so identical too.
Yeah.
They're not making sense.
Mistake. And something like that, an interviewer, I don't think is not gonna even think about that.
Here I can actually run a different for loop. So for, I think it's for it, of, I think it's of,
Um,
for let.
sorry, what?
So it would be like of,
Oh yeah.
or sorry. It would be like a variable name here. Of,
Yeah, I think the reason he changed it is because he had for let j equals 0 initially. So yeah, he could have had it all I, but yeah, whatever.
yeah, just to keep them separate. They're not in the same loop or anything, but when I'm making, because they're so identical, I just know this
Yeah.
is a different loop and this is a different loop.
Totally. Yeah, and if you make a typo like that, like don't freak out. I don't think an interviewer would even think to dock you any points if you just make a typo. It's all about the logic.
So I know we only got a couple more minutes here. So for item of ransom ransom dictionary. No, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, whatever. Because I don't have as much time and I'm more comfortable with this way as of right now, just because I don't remember the syntax for that one. Z, let's just go ahead and copy and paste this right here. Save us a little more time. And this time I'm going to be doing the length of my dictionary, but it won't be length. This would be fine, just because it might loop it like 1 or 2 more times if we're compacting this, but I don't know, and if you can help me out here, if dot length works on dictionaries. I don't know if it does. I don't think it does.
I think that it does, but yeah, someone who's maybe knows JavaScript better than me could answer that. But yeah, I think because in Python you can find the length of dictionaries, so I think it'd be the same. Let's try it and see what happens.
You want to do it with the dictionary?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter. Well, I guess it does because
it would loop it 1 more time or so if possible.
Yeah, do it with the dictionary. I think the dictionary is fine. You can do it in Python, so I don't see why you couldn't do it in JavaScript, but I honestly don't know.
Magazine might have more. So this time I'm just comparing the two. So this I might have a little off on my syntax, because if I think it's that I can't remember. Does that give me the key value there? Or is that going to give me, because I got to compare the key value to the what is it called? The object, or not object, but the value.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I don't know about JavaScript, but yeah, in Python, yep, that's how you get the value. So random dict J. So yep, that'll give me the value of random dictionary of J. Thomas Thank you, Thomas. To get the length, object length equals object dot keys and logic. Oh. Object.
Okay, this is kind of where I'm gonna be stuck out though, because I'm got the dictionary and I don't quite know how I'm going to if random dictionary, because it's not going to be the value, it's going to be
Right.
and
Do you
that's
wanna
why yes.
Okay. So for this for loop, you could loop through each key in your dictionary of note and then see if the key is in dictionary of mag. And then if it is, you want to do something else, but you're almost there, so I won't tell you.
So if ransom, it's not going to be this. I'm drawing a blank right now. Holy cow.
You're good. You are so close. You've been doing amazing. Seriously. I don't think I could think this quickly on the spot.
So I know I need to do the key and I don't remember.
Yeah. I don't know the
equals.
JavaScript syntax for this one. So why don't you just talk us through the logic of what you want to do here, and then we could figure out the syntax.
So what I was gonna do is pretty much I have keys and my values. I was gonna see, well, is there this key inside dictionary? And if so, is there enough value in that at same one? Because just because there is one doesn't mean it's good. You got to check the value as well.
Mhm.
So if it has it and the value is good, cool, let's move on. And so if it hits both of it's there and the value is sufficient, aka not equal, or if it's greater than or equal to, then it's true. And if we go down and it's true on a single one, then we're good. But if not, then it's false. So we would keep looping until we ran into a case that it was false.
Yes. Yep, that's perfect. And I do have to stop you because we are running low on time. But yes, that is exactly perfect logic. And I am very impressed that you were able to solve that so quickly. I mean, obviously, we don't have the syntax down and our last for loop isn't done, but you got the logic. And I think personally, that's the most important part. So
it was a little nerve-wracking for sure. So
I know.
As soon as I probably stop sharing, like I'm gonna have it in my head, like once I get off the spot.
You definitely will. And that's always what happens with interviews. But that was really awesome. Your logic was spot on. If you had even like 5 more minutes, I think you could have finished it. But I'm very impressed. That was really awesome, Jaden. Great. Awesome.
Wish I finished it.
I know. I know. I had to cut it because of the time. But you were so close.